Alright, so here's the thing. For a lot of people, staying consistent is one of the biggest challenges that they face. I mean, sure, you've had those games where you totally pop off, but then there are the disastrous ones where nothing seems to be going your way, and it often leaves you wondering where it all went wrong. The truth is, if you want to start climbing up the ranks quickly, you have to be able to consistently outperform your opponents. You can't be playing like an immortal in one game and then play like a gold in the next.
I'm leaving.
So in this video, I'll be giving you some tips on how to build consistency into your game plan, so you can reduce bad performances, save your own mental, and hopefully reach a new peak this season. And by the way, today's video is sponsored by Hone, but we'll get to that in just a moment. So first things first, obviously you're not going to be playing with the same set of players all the time. Agent compositions aside, different players tend to have different ideas on how to approach the game. And this even extends to your teammates as well. So in one game, you might be getting a lot of kills with an operator because the enemy team lacks the utility to clear out your position. And in the next game, you might struggle to find any value at all. Or it might be the case that playing in a specific spot is something that's worked for you in the past. So you start playing in that spot every game. And while it might catch a couple of people off guard, you're eventually going to run into a team who knows how to counter that. The problem with most players is not being willing to step out of their comfort zone of playing their own game. It's kind of like playing rock, paper, scissors, except you keep throwing rock over and over again and it only works less than half the time. If you don't adapt based on what the other team is doing, you're going to stomp in one game and then get stomped in the next. And this explains why our performance can vary so heavily. And you know what else can vary heavily? Your frames per second in-game. If you have a low-end computer, you probably understand the pain of experiencing frame drops in-game. But don't fret, because this is where Hone.gg comes in. Hone is a software that makes it easy for you to optimize your system's performance in just one click. So instead of messing around with settings that you don't understand, simply browse through a library full of hundreds of optimizations, sit back and let Hone do all the work for you. It even has custom presets specifically made for all your favorite games. But let's take a look at Valorant so I can show you my favorite part about Hone. So you'll notice all these pro players on the side here. Hone has a feature where you can copy any pro player's settings and apply them to your game. On top of that, it even offers one-click optimization, so you can ensure your game is running as smoothly as possible. Here, let me show you. So this is what my FPS looks like before Hone. And once I apply the preset, take a look at the performance boost I'm now getting. Not half bad, right? Hone also has a set of tools to optimize your system's performance, and it's recommended that you run these on a regular basis. Hone is completely free to use using my linky in the description below. But with Premium, you get access to all features and enjoy an ad-free experience. Once again, shout out to Hone for sponsoring today's video. So like we were discussing earlier, we want to adapt to how the game is progressing. And this brings me to my next point on protocols. For those of you familiar with the basics of programming, you can think of protocols as if statements. Protocols are predefined guidelines for each situation, and are just as important at any level of play. From the highest pinnacle of Tier 1 Valorant to the lone iron trying to work on his fundamentals, protocols are in place to help you eliminate some of that decision-making on the fly. Let me show you what I mean.
Zelsa's made it through, but he's going to hear this turret now, realizing that it wasn't on boiler in the beginning. Yet Ospot still lands that shot onto Saucy. 20 seconds left,
so in this clip, you can see some solid protocols in action. After getting a shot off, Aspis immediately falls back, giving him the option to either go for a second pick or to play with the rest of his team. Had he hesitated for just a second longer, he might have been traded by Zekin. So if we were to imagine this in statement form, it might look a little something like this. This really underlines the value of having a reliable set of protocols. By knowing exactly what to do in each situation, we take a lot of the guesswork out of the equation, which in turn makes your performance more consistent. As a wise man might have once said, fail to plan, plan to fail. This especially applies to agents that may be more preparation-based. It's important that you have contingency plans in place against common utility combinations. The easiest example would be playing offsite if the enemy has a bunch of pivotal ultimates. But protocols don't necessarily have to be agent-based. Let me give you a couple more examples. So let's just say that you're solo anchor on a site, and you hear the attackers preparing to make a full execute. And while you might think you can hold the push by yourself, it might be the right call to back up and do a full retake instead, especially if you have the numbers advantage. Protocols could be as simple as buying after winning pistol, or prioritizing full shields if the enemy has an outlaw. To summarize, we want to develop protocols for each situation, and then continue to refine them throughout the game. With that being said, simply having a set of protocols does not make you immune to off days. There are going to be those games where none of your usual plays seem to be working out. On that note, it's important that we think of our performance as range-based. What do I mean by this? Just imagine for a sec that this is our current rank. And here we have the upper and lower end of that range. On any given day, your performance could lie anywhere within this range. I'm sure you remember your best moments and maybe even how you felt during them.
Smoke, please.
I know exactly.
Nah, I just get away with this
One enemy remaining.
The problem I see with a lot of players is forcing themselves to play like how they would at their best, when sometimes it's simply not meant to be.
Okay.
So the truth of the matter is that most players have a pretty similar top end of the range, and this especially applies to ranked. What this means is that anyone could be dominating the lobby on any given day. And while it's tempting to focus on your performance when you're at the top of your game, it's infinitely better to pull up your bottom line performance, so that your worst is still comparable to someone having an average game. To fix this, we need to identify recurring patterns whenever we're playing at the lower end of our range. For instance, it's easy to make a lot of subtle positioning mistakes that may not be obvious until we watch back footage of our own game. This is why I always have some kind of recording software open on my computer. During a game, we tend to make silly mistakes due to nerves, tilt, or the pressure to perform well in a ranked environment. Watching back our gameplay decouples us from all these negative emotions and enables us to think rationally about what we could have done better. But if you're new to the game, chances are you might struggle with identifying what exactly went wrong. So since you've made it all the way to the end of this video, I'd like to invite you to join our community over on Discord. We're a tight-knit group of players from all around the world who are passionate about learning, improving, and supporting one another along the way. Well, most of the time. Once again, shout out to Hone for sponsoring today's video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. That's all from me, and I'll see you in the next one.